Hi everyone, Rational Answer here again, and in the first 3 videos on this channel, we took a look at Paul Washer's mental excretions. This time, we're going to do something completely different and take a look at what I presume to be is a feminist-made video. Yeah, it's stupid, it's bad, so we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to give my 2 cents, and we'll just find out how, let's just say, crazy some of the stuff said in this video actually is.
Dear Daddy, I just wanted to thank you for looking after me so well, even though I'm not yet born.
Okay, stop. What the hell is Egghead doing in this clip, in this video? Who knows? Who the fuck knows?
I know you already try harder than Superman. You won't even let Mommy eat sushi. But I need to ask you a favor. Warning. It's about boys.
Well, okay, so we already have kind of the gist of this thing. Yeah, this is basically just a video saying all men are evil, all men are rapists and sexists and misogynists, and the only thing that, or once your husband has whatever difficulties with his job, with his buddies, whatever, yeah, let's just get to the end, and you know what what I mean by that.
Because, you see, I will be born a girl, which means that by the time I'm 14, the boys in my class will have called me a whore, a bitch, a cunt, and many other things.
Do they? Do they really? Well, yes. I presume they will call you all of those things. But, here's the thing. There's a reason why these boys, these undescript, unnamed, generalized boys, call you these things. It's because they're fucking trolls. It's because they're 13-year-old, 14-year-old fucking shitlords. And edgelords. Edgelords, that's what I wanted to say. They're 13-year-old, 14-year-old fucking edgelords. They're the same people who, on 4chan, on Twitter, Facebook, all the relevant social media networks, post like Nazi-related stuff, black supremacist stuff, Nazi Pepe memes all across the internet, even though they're not racist or anti-Semitic or any of these things actually themselves. It's because they're fucking edgelords. They want to be cool and hip and edgy and counterculture, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? They want to rebel. They want to be, bad. They want to be badass. And in our time today, that's, for example, one of the things that they do. But what's even more important is, as I've already said, this clip only talks about boys. No mention here is made about all the girls in her, I presume, class, or just school in general, calling her a slut and a whore and a bitch and a whatever, because that's not how this clip wants to take it and spin it. Oh, and thirdly, and for the sake of this video, we're going to assume that we are the dad and this is our daughter. We're just going to assume that by the way that narrator addresses us. Another important aspect about all of this is that for all we know, as a parent, she could be fucking instigating all this herself. I mean, there is no context given as to why these boys call our daughter a slut and a whore and whatnot, so we can also assume, based on the non-context of this video, I keep wanting to say movie. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the good production value. What was I going to say? Yeah, that our daughter is actually fucking instigating that she's going around being a bitch and a slut and a whore and just a mean, vile person to everyone in school and everyone in class, and no bitching and moaning and pissing and complaining that all the shit she slung at other people is now being slung back at her.
So by the time I turn 16, a couple of the boys will have snuck their hands down my pants while I'm so drunk I can't even stand straight. And although I say no, they just laugh.
Okay, yeah, if a boy actually does do these things, he's an asshole. Everyone agrees on that. I mean, who the hell is this this video trying to be like, who the hell is this made for? You'd think this was actually made for the, let's be generous, for the 5 out of the 100 people, in this case 100 men and boys, these 5 people that actually do these things. The other 95% would agree that anyone who does this shit is a fucking douchebag. And regarding this portion of the video, it reminds me, I've watched this video in... Entschuldigung. I've watched this video beforehand, and there's this scene reminds me of a very interesting other video that was made as a response, where it's, I'll link it in the description. It's basically like, it's called Dear Dad, in brackets then, from a boy. And it's basically like a sort of a takedown, or the idea of what would happen if this was done to, or if a boy, like the kind of stuff, like if this was made with this sort of message with a boy. And this scene, this party scene, reminds me of that part in that response where he basically says, yeah, and if I do this, even if it was my first time at a party ever, my first time drinking a beer, my first time ever talking to a girl face to face ever, and I kind of get a little too cocky, and I kind of get a little too risque, and I kind of get maybe a little too drunk for what I can handle, and I do this, that bitch is going to accuse me of rape. Even though this was never my intention from the start, even though I never went to this party thinking that, hey, I'm going to fucking date rape some bitch and then get away with it. Yeah, that's basically the thing that came to my mind when seeing this particular situation on this video individual. When seeing this part of the clip, I'll put the link to the other response in the comments, in the description. And yeah, we're just gonna see how this madness continues.
It's funny, right? If you saw me, Daddy, you would be so ashamed. Because I'm wasted.
Okay, what are we talking about, wasted? I mean, there are varying degrees of wasted. Are you, Chinese wasted? Are you English wasted? Or are you gym ass wasted?
No wonder I'm raped when I'm 21. No wonder I'm raped when I'm 21.
What? What? No wonder I'm raped when I was 21. First of all, why 21? What's the significance of being raped when you're 21? How is that any worse or less worse if you're being raped at, let's say, 15 or 35 or 50 or whatever? What's the significance of 21? Maybe there's a legal reason for that. Maybe if you're 21 and I assume this, judging by the narrator's accent, I'm assuming this is like from Australia or New Zealand. I don't know anyone from New Zealand or Australia in the comments. Do you get recognized as like a legal adult when you're 21? Or anything that this has any kind of legal, that it's somehow some kind of a legal thing? Put it in the comments.
21 and on my way home in a taxi driven by the son of a guy you went swimming with every Wednesday. The guy who always told insulting jokes. But they were, of course, only jokes. So you laughed. Had you known that his son would end up raping me, you would have told him to get a grip. But how could you know? He was just a boy. Okay,
so now we're getting into this whole, rape jokes are bad thing, which they're not. They're totally not. There is a reason why we have rape jokes. There is a reason why we have race jokes. There is a reason why we have all sorts of other offensive and... Yeah, let's just stick with offensive because I don't have another word for that, another word in my head. With all these offensive jokes. It's because, as, and I don't want to plug anything here, but like the Nostalgia Critic in one of his editorials basically said, any good comedy, or one of the essences of good comedy is the fact that very good comedy is always based on misery. And that's where rape jokes and like sexist jokes and race jokes and all of these kind of jokes come in, because we know how fucking horrible it is for someone to be raped, how fucking horrible it is to be ostracized because of your religion or your skin color or if you have a disability or whatnot. And making jokes about this sort of stuff is more or less our way of coping with the fact that we know these horrible things exist. And yeah, as an addendum to that, it's like those ads from the 50s that you sometimes see, like these crazy, like by today's standards, these crazy ass ads that advertise, for example, oh, I don't know, let's just take a vague guess, a fucking nuclear power plant model kit for kids with an actual uranium core. I'm not kidding. That thing actually existed. Or another good example is, well, it's not a real ad that existed in reality in the 50s. There's an ad in BioShock, in the game of BioShock, which takes place in a city that was built in the 50s. And there's an ad for a fictional blend of, or fictional trademark, can't figure out the word, but you know what I mean, a fictional sort of cigarettes, and the ad goes something along the lines of Rapture's best blend, or Rapture's finest, the best, or the best blend for expectant mothers. And yes, I know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm guessing these kind of ads actually did exist, these kind of smoking ads, but that's the reason why nowadays we look at this and go, just, what the fuck? What the fuck were you thinking, 1950s? Because we now know today how obviously bad it is for women to be smoking, and how bad nuclear radiation or exposure to nuclear radiation is. And that's the same thing with rape jokes and sex jokes and all of these kind of jokes. They exist as a sort of catharsis because we know these things, these horrible things actually exist. Whew. Moving on.
Telling weird jokes. And in any case, it wasn't your business. You were just being nice. But his son, raised on these jokes, becomes my business. Then finally, I meet Mr. Perfect. And you're so happy for me, Daddy, because he really adores me. And he's smart, with a great job, and all through the winter he goes cross-country skiing 3 times a week, just like you.
And now we're going batshit insane. So, we've heard what kind of a great guy this Mr. Right is, and how similar he is to, I guess in this case, us, since we're going by the premise that this is our daughter that's talking to us as her father. And I've already said it in the beginning, so yeah. This is gonna get weird, to say the least.
But one day he stops being Mr. Perfect, and I don't know why. Wait, am I overreacting? One thing I do know, I'm not the victim type. I'm raised to be a strong and independent woman. But one night it's just all too much for him, with work and the in-laws and the wedding coming up. So he calls me a whore.
Wow! That escalated quickly. But how do we get from Mr. Right to I'm an independent woman to there are some problems with his job, with the upcoming wedding, all this normal stuff, to he calls me a whore? Let's see.
Just like you called a girl in middle school a whore once.
Yes, because stupid teenage drama, completely inconsequential to you, to the rest of your life, teenage drama in high school is equivalent to adult people knowing exactly what they're doing.
Then another day, he hits me. I mean, I'm way out of line. I can really be a bitch sometimes. But we're still the world's greatest couple, and I'm so confused because I love him and I hate him, and I'm not sure if I really did do something wrong, and...
Okay, I know this is really inappropriate considering the subject matter,
but play it. I'm telling you, you shouldn't come around here. We've got a situation, and let me be clear. I'll kick you, and I'll beat you, and I'll tell you it's fair. So beat it. So beat it.
And then one day he almost kills me. It all goes black. Even though I have a PhD, a fantastic job, I'm loved by my friends and family, I'm well brought up, and nobody saw this coming. Dear Daddy, this is the favor I want to ask. One thing always leads to another.
And being your dad, going by the premise of this video, I also have a favor to ask of you. Use your brain, please. I mean, how fucking hard is this? If there are problems at work, if there are problems in your relationship, or then later in your marriage, or whatnot, there are ways to get help. Ever heard of a marriage counselor? Ever heard of a therapist? Ever heard of, I don't know, changing jobs? And I say this because according to this video, this guy, what I'm assuming is going to be our son-in-law, has a very well-paid job. A job that he could easily quit for something else.
So please stop it before it gets the chance to begin. Don't let my brothers call girls whores, because they're not. And one day some little boy might think it's true.
You have brothers? When do we establish that? When the hell did we establish that you have brothers? I thought you were an only child.
Don't accept insulting jokes from weird guys by the pool, or even friends, because behind every joke there is always some truth. Dear Daddy, I know you will protect me from lions, tigers, guns, cars, and even sushi without even thinking about the danger to your own life.
We don't have lions, and we don't have tigers. If you want to be careful, and I don't have to save you from cars either, because you got 2 eyes, you can look at the road and see when it's clear for you to cross. I would assume you were at least that intelligent.
But dear Daddy, I will be born a girl. Please do everything you can so that that won't stay the greatest danger of all.
Okay, so this was Dear Dad, a completely psychopathic, completely bonkers video about how rape jokes lead to actually people being raped en masse. At least I assume that's what they were going for in this video. Okay. Yeah, but despite all that, I only have one more question. Where's Mom in all this? I mean, you would think that parenting, bringing up a child, raising a child, all that stuff would be a collaborative effort. But nope, of course not. That's not the way this clip wants to spin it, because, as we all know, women are weak and afraid and just sex objects and whatnot, and can't defend themselves in any way, shape, or form. Completely contrary to reality. So, this was Rational Answer saying goodbye, and we'll see each other in the next video.